Okay, good morning, good afternoon, welcome to the official race briefing for Challenge Wanaka 2019, the 13th edition. Lovely to have so many people here. Over the next hour we will introduce to you our race directors, the individual directors for each of the three different legs. This is really to try and take out a lot of the guesswork. We do have a lot of people in the room here, so any questions that you still have that you don't feel have been answered, we're going to get you to come up afterwards and speak to each of the individual race directors, because we do want to move things along. It is a long time for people to be standing on their feet the day before a race, so we do want to move things along. Most of the stuff, well, all of it should be in your race manual, so do make sure you have read that. Just before we do get going, just clearly understand it is an established rule in triathlon that it is up to the individuals to know the course on the day. Obviously everything will be done to ensure that that is further enhanced, but please know the course before we do get things underway. My name's Mark Watson. I will be your MC over the next couple of days and your event course commentator, along with Olympic triathlete Tony Dodds, and we certainly do look forward to bringing everybody home tomorrow and you guys writing another exciting chapter in what has really become a very, very good event. First up though, we'll introduce you to our event director, Bill Roxburgh.
Thank you very much, Mark. A big welcome to Wanaka, everybody, and thank you for choosing Challenge Wanaka as your event to start the year off. We've got a couple of stunning fields in our professional race again, and we expect to see some really, really good racing there. Special welcome to the wee table in the middle there. These boys have all done the 13, 12 Challenge Wanaka full, and they're back for number 13, so welcome, boys. Whoops. Throwing me off a bit. I've got a very competent team here who are going to run through the briefing with you. Chris is a local here, our swimming course director, and Skipper, so you'll have a really good rundown on the weather. Oh shit, sorry. Anyway, hope you enjoy your time in Wanaka. I look forward to seeing you at tomorrow's prize giving. And if you've got any queries, anything our staff can help you with, please come and see us. So, welcome to Wanaka, have a great event, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We're now going to bring up Sally Hayes as part of our team from Challenge Wanaka to just give you a brief overview of the race, to just look at the possible contingency plans if there is in fact one required due to poor weather, and also just to go through what will occur in and around anti-doping. Sally.
Thanks, Mark. It's great to see so many of you here, so welcome to Wanaka and welcome to Challenge Wanaka. I get the job of covering all the housekeeping and really exciting topics, so bear with me. Quick race overview. The athlete race manual has all the information for the race in it, so make sure you read it thoroughly. Our league directors will highlight some important points and hazards on the course. Please make sure both your bike and helmet have been checked by Racer's Edge before you bring them into transition this afternoon. Please rack your bikes by the handlebars tonight in case the wind does pick up, and then tomorrow morning you can hang them by these seats. Transition opens at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and all bikes need to be racked by 6:30 p.m. tonight. Without exception, there's no bike racking tomorrow morning. All T1 and recovery bags can either be dropped off before 6:30 p.m. tonight or before 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. No bags are accepted after this time. The T1 bag is your red bag, T2 is blue, and your recovery bag is green. This year, even if you don't need a recovery bag, we would greatly appreciate you dropping it into the marquee tomorrow morning, even if it's empty, because your finisher's t-shirt will be placed in it for you to collect once you cross the finish line. Make sure you don't overinflate your tyres tonight. We'll let you know if we hear one of them go pop. Please check the flow of transition. So we've got some maps up on the whiteboard over the back by the information desk to check out. It'll also be well marshalled, and there's lots of signage up as well. There's no body numbering for this event. All the swimmers, so both individual and team swimmers, before you head out to the start line, it's a deep water start tomorrow morning. It's compulsory to cross the timing mat on the beach. Failure to do so will result in disqualification, and you will not be registered in our timing system. The mat will be clearly marked, so it should stand out on the beach. At the completion of the swim, make sure you pick up your red bike bag after you've crossed the footbridge. So they're going to be on the park side of the road and they're laid out in numerical order. Make sure you grab your red bag and not someone else's. Swimmers, you can only peel your wetsuit down to the waist before entering the changing tent. Athletes must leave their red bike bags, which now contain your wetsuit and other swim gear, at the exit of the change tent. You must pack this yourself, don't leave it for the volunteers to tidy up after you, please. Team swimmers, you'll need to pick up your red bag and then proceed to your cyclist standing next to their bike. Take off the transponder and give that to your cyclist. So that's like your relay baton. Full information for team changeovers is in the athlete handbook. Ken is going to cover the race rules a bit later on. Challenge Wanaka is strictly a non-drafting race, and we have asked Rainsy to take a strict line on this, please. When finishing, you'll receive your race medal. If all team members come through the finish chute together, they will also receive their medals. Only the runner will then be able to go through to the recovery tent to pick up the recovery bag, which will have your t-shirts in it. Challenge is a family-friendly event, and we know how important it is to share your success with your family at the finish line. With the new finisher crossing the line every 15 seconds, we ask you to take any photos quickly and then move on, because we'll have another finisher coming up behind you. Your family and friends, whether they're here in Wanaka or further abroad, can track your progress throughout the day. We've got a fantastic Challenge Wanaka app, so make sure they download it and follow your race. Contingency, if we need to roll out a contingency tomorrow morning, we'll make the decision at 6 AM. We do have an alternate swim course, which is on the other side of the marina, on the lake, so it's the marina side. And just quickly, anti-doping. A Challenge family operates a zero tolerance policy to performance enhancing drugs. No athlete may use any substances or procedures with the intention to improve your performance, eliminate fatigue, or any other purpose. Violation of this rule will result in instant disqualification. Challenge Wanaka is working with Drug Free Sport NZ to ensure this policy is upheld to maintain the integrity of our sport. Random drug tests may be made at the end of the race. If you're requested to undergo one of these tests, your participation in the race is your agreement to do so. I'll now ask Mark to introduce our league directors.
Yeah, look, just before we do that, we need 4 experienced motorcyclists. If there are people down here that know how to ride a motorbike, we've got plenty of experience. We've got 4 motorbikes. We just need to get some technical officials out. You get to follow the race up close and personal. So if it is one of you, might just get you to meet Bill a little bit afterwards. We just want to make sure the Australians are not cheating. Ooh. 0800. Now it is time to introduce our different our league directors for each of the 3 disciplines. We're going to get Chris to come up and talk about the swim course, Chris Thornton. Chris will also just give you a bit of a laydown of what the weather conditions, what we're expecting tomorrow in regards to the weather conditions. Chris.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the start of Challenge 2019. I've got a little course up here. I'll go through this in a few moments. I used a chalkboard this morning to get the artistic outlay of what we're going to see tomorrow. So the forecast, if you're looking on Met Service and MetView and a few others, looks like we've got a really calm start, a light southerly, so it's going to be quite cool, a cool start. A little bit of overcast cloud. If you are swimming on the first leg, that cloud doesn't mean that we're not going to have that sun that comes up. We still might have that punching over top of the hills. That southerly is just going to slowly build. It doesn't look like it's going to grow into anything too much, but it might help you guys on the bike and the run later on. So just running through the swim safety aspect. A few things, the lake temperature is 17 degrees at the moment, so the only compulsory gear that you have to have on the swim is your wetsuit and your swim cap. That's all we need you to make sure you wear. Hopefully you've all read the race rules, so that you are aware of the rules around the swim. If you haven't, have a read of the rules in the racing manual. One of the big ones is don't cut the corners. That's a bit of a no-no. If you do, the volunteers are there to take down your numbers. They'll definitely try and push you around the outside, but please don't try and cut those big corners. So we're talking about the outside markers. Also, aquatic weeds are one of the things we're a little bit wary of here in Lake Wanaka. So when you do come out, try, or make sure you do, take all your swim gear and dip it in the big yellow bins at the transition area, and that's just to try and help avoid spreading Didimo and the likes around the country. So the route, bring it over here. We have a deep water start for everybody tomorrow. You'll be racing up along, there's 5 marker buoys. So the 5th one, the very last one down the bottom here, you would have seen it maybe last year or on Thursday morning. You've got to make sure that you pass that on your right hand shoulder. Every other buoy as you go around is on your left hand shoulder. So as you come down, effectively use that as a marker's gate to be able to come in. Now the things that will be on this course that weren't in the past are this big orange marker buoy and a couple in the centre here. This is for the aqua swim, so it's nothing to do for you guys at all. However, when you come down that last line, you can actually use that big orange marker buoy as sighting to help you sight down the end, and that might help as you're coming down looking into the sun, if that sun is there. These marker buoys down here, you'll see that's the Wanaka swim lane, so nothing to do with this event. So don't worry about those there at all. Rightio, hazards. The specific hazards that we've got on top of this, the whole course here, are obviously yourselves in terms of there's a lot of people going to be on the water and a lot of people in the start lanes. When you do start off, please watch out for feet and hands and people climbing over top of other people. Respect each other and give each other that little bit of space. If you do end up getting a foot or a hand in your face or anywhere else, then just sort of take a moment and try and create a bit of your own zone and carry on. We've got swim safety there. We'll go through that in a few moments of if you do need some help and how to do that. The other things, these little markers, you'll see them out right now, little red or pink marker buoys. They're all attached by a rope. So around those marker buoys there is maybe just a little bit of rope. Give them half a metre and you'll be fine. When you come around the course, you do not have to be on either side. These are just guidelines, so there's no rule that says you've got to be on this outside. You can actually cut through here, but you've got to get back out and around the big buoys. If you're out there, in terms of the swim safety, we've got quite a lot of volunteers, local volunteers that have come to help us out. On the edge of each one of the buoys will be a big powerboat. And roaming between each buoy will be 1 or 2 jet skis on the outside. There'll also be heaps of kayakers out there. So the powerboats and the jet skis, we're really aware that tomorrow's going to be quite calm, and fumes are one of those things, one of those issues that we don't want to have too much to worry about. So the powerboats and jet skis have been told to stay away a little bit, whereas the kayakers will be a lot closer. Now, if you do see that you need some help, then if you just put your hand up, someone's going to come over and see that you're okay. If you put your hand up and start shouting and waving, then we'll come over a lot faster to be able to come over and see that you're okay. All right. So the more noise you make and the more motion you make, we're going to come here as fast as we can. Now, if you do end up deciding to come out of the race, or the medical team takes you out of the race, please remember to give us your name and your number, your race number. If the medical team does take you out of the race for whatever reason, please just respect that decision. They won't be making it lightly, and that'll be to do with your safety as well as everybody else's. So yeah, hopefully that we'll have to do that too much tomorrow. I think that's probably most of it from us. I'll just have a quick check here. No? If you... Oh yeah, good one. So warming up, you're most welcome to get out there and warm up, but everybody who is going on the water, please make sure you go over the timing chip before you go on the water. It doesn't matter if you do it before you start, before the race, you have to get over that at some stage so we know who's on the water, and that means that we can count who's off the water as well. If you've got any specific questions to the swim, then please come and see us over here afterwards.
Yeah, just make sure in that swim, ladies and gentlemen, you do seed yourself correctly. You'll hear me say a lot tomorrow, but you don't want to confuse ability with ambition. It can be gladiatorial a little bit, and so just create a little gap with your hands, swim through that gap. And two, just for people who might have come off some health skiers, or perhaps just a little bit older too, when you start to come towards the end of the swim, just bring your kick into play a little bit, get the blood flow going. You're lying in a horizontal position, you go to the vertical, your heart rate's going to go up another 10 beats, and we just don't want anybody sort of feeling faint or get himself in any difficulty there. So just be a little bit careful in terms of getting to your feet. Okay, let's bring up next our bike course director, Mel, and she'll enlighten you on what would be described as 60 kilometres of hope and 30 kilometres of truth.
I've been told that I'm short and had to bring the microphone down. You'll notice that I lifted a mat up here when I came up, and I will have it with me to the side of the stage. I will discuss that, but it's going to be what is on the red bridge, but we'll go through that as we go through the course. The first thing I want to mention is you will see occasional road closed signs around the course. This does not mean that you have a free right of way on the roads. Although they say road closed, it's effectively to keep traffic as a minimum for you. We still have tourism operators who need to work. We still have locals who need to work. Unfortunately, in the past, I've had feedback from tourism operators that some of our athletes have not been particularly kind to them and used language that's not appropriate and perhaps the occasional hand signal that is also not appropriate. So they endeavour to work with us to make this course available to us. So please be patient. They know to try and be patient with you. And we also do have some tourists in the area because it's so beautiful that they may not speak English and they may not understand. So please be very cautious and polite out there. So your course, I'm not going to go through the actual description of it because we should all know where the course goes. There are arrows and marshals out there as a courtesy, but please make sure you know where you're going on the bike course. Although it can, obviously a few of you may not be used to swimming in the cold water temperatures, and just a handy hint is even if it is going to be, even if it is going to look to be a beautiful day, it is not warm heading out to TC. Not a lot of sun gets out there, so just be aware that if you're coming out of the cold swim, you may not start to warm up until you've come through town. On the way out to Glendhu, at the TC turn, you have a one-way bridge to go over. Bear in mind you've got cars potentially and cyclists coming the other way there. Obviously you will come through town. When you're coming into town, there is a roundabout at Sargood Road. You are not to ride through the centre of that roundabout. It is on this side of the town. You must follow the road. So you come through town and then you'll obviously see a lot of cones. You'll come to the Lakeside Ave roundabout, and this is where you'll be directed to the centre of the road. So you will go through the middle of that roundabout and you will ride up the median strip along Ardmore, along those shops. And then once you get past the Caltex, you'll then be directed back to the left-hand side. The first major hazard that you're going to come to is Albert Town Bridge. This bridge, you will be riding on the footpath. You do not ride on the road carriageway. Any of you have been out there to have a look at the course, it's not pretty at the moment. I can assure you we have teams working on that, and it will be rectified prior to race day. It will be a no pass zone. You will go single file across that Albert Town Bridge, and then you're free to go again once you get past. Next cautious area is the right turn, 90-degree turn to Hawea Dam. If the wind does pick up, you can get hit by some quite nasty side winds there, so just be cautious when you're turning, and also no cutting the corners, turning right into Hawea Dam. And then you will then basically follow your course. You will come to just prior to the Red Bridge. For some of you who are at the rear end of the field, you may see a few cyclists turning left just prior to the bridge. Don't follow them unless you want to do 120 k's. There is clear signage to say aquabike only, turning left there. You will go right, straight ahead. All that intersection is a no passing zone because we potentially will have merging cyclists. You will come over the Red Bridge. The Red Bridge is a mixture of wood, bolts that are about this big, and broken tar seal. So this year, for the bridge is 75 metres long, we've got 100 metres of this mat being laid down the centre of the bridge. hope I get that applause when you all finish tomorrow as well. It is metre wide, down the centre. I will say to you, this is a no pass zone, so that 1 metre is yours. And I will also mention to you that the speed limit going across the Red Bridge is 30 kilometres per hour. You are supposed to be following road rules, so I'll leave that one with you to decide how you want to spend that 75 metres of your 90 kilometres. So you will then follow your course and you will come to where you will hear some people refer to Wastebusters intersection. So this is on Riverbank Road after you're turning off the main highway. This is a cross intersection and we will have traffic marshals and volunteers there. A few years ago they thought they were being clever and put judder bars or speed humps down the hill to the intersection. These have been semi-removed, but it is very uneven, and also the surface at the physical intersection is also very uneven. So for safety's sake, we have also made this section a no pass zone. It's a small section and it's for your safety so that you can each choose a line and get through that intersection without any issues. And then the last bit is you guys get to ride down Wanaka's steepest street. It's beautiful and smooth, and you've got a couple of left-hand 90-degree turns as well. So it's in your last 2 Ks of the ride. Be careful. There will be traffic on the road. We have to allow residents through. Obviously we're trying to reduce that to a minimum and talk to them. You must keep to the left. There isn't a centre line, but you don't cross the centre line. If you were in a car, you wouldn't drive on the other side. We're not in Europe. So go and have a look at it. Be cautious. At the bottom of Meadowstone, you have 2 speed humps, which are a cobbled speed hump, and the second one is quite steep at the top, and just after that you will be turning right onto Ardmore Street. So please be extremely careful. Each aid station has a drop zone sign before it and after it. That is the only place you may discard any rubbish. Apart from that, know the course, have fun, and I'll see you all out there.
Yeah, we will have the technical officials talking about the drafting zones, but particularly up hills, if you do find yourself in little bunches and stuff because the hill just naturally brings everyone back, just watch going from that seated position to the standing position, try and keep your momentum going. You see a lot of sort of probably more inexperienced cyclists tending to just rock back a little bit, and easy to just take those cyclists down behind you, so just be aware of those things. I just want to reinforce this, and again, probably more just targeting our Australian friends, no abuse out on the course please. See, we're getting on a theme, we're getting on a roll here. We'll keep it going. Right, let's bring up our run director, Dwayne Smith.
Welcome to Challenge Wanaka. The course is the one described in your race manual. Please take care of trip hazards, tree roots, footpath curbs, etc. The track is fairly compact this year. Even the ones that have run it before, there's quite a sandy bit halfway round. It's actually quite compact, which will be good. Please take extra care on road crossings. There's vehicle marshals on each road crossing and the turnaround, of course. If they tell you to stop, you stop, please. They're there for your safety, and they will do their utmost to stop vehicles. Some drivers don't like stopping. And I'd hate to see you become a bonded ornament. When running through the boat ramp area over here, which is at the 1K mark, I've put 2 marshals there this year because the sort of Range Rovers with their fancy boats don't worry about runners running through, and so they'll be there to help you out and sort of hopefully direct traffic. Now, the cone. Everyone's got to have a prop, don't they? When running on the set road sections, make sure the cone is on your left-hand side. There's parts of the running course which you have to run on the road because there's no footpath. Traffic management have put cones out a distance for you to run between the curb and the cone. you're running against the flow of traffic. So if you run on the other side of the cone, 1, you'll be disqualified, and 2, you may become a bonnet ornament again, which no one wants to see. Now, there's no aid station or special needs at the start of the run like previous years. So your first aid station will be approximately 3 kilometres from the start of your run. So make sure you've got a drink before you get off your bike. Where are we? Oh, please make sure any of your family or your spectators, hopefully you've got spectators, are not following you in vehicles, because what happens is they drive slow, everybody drives slow, and then you get one person behind who decides they don't want to drive slow, so they pull out and do a crazy overtaking manoeuvre, and it causes problems. Now, another thing is, if you pull out of the race, out on course, advise the aid station, and they will advise comms, and I will come and pick you up and bring you back here. You're all going to finish it, so it doesn't make a difference. The other thing is, a very important thing, is the roads are still open to the public. I have to push that because, yeah, car drivers, etc., and there's a lot of traffic around. So that's one thing to really push on that. And also no bikes to follow runners on the track. If you're caught doing that, 1, you probably will be disqualified, or maybe given a very quick warning. I know your family want to sort of follow you, but this is an individual race, not a team race. Okay, thank you very much. At each aid station there's a portaloo. They're fairly in an obvious place. So R1 is between R1 and R7, but they're in very obvious places, so you will find them. Cheers.
Yeah, we just mentioned that because a couple of years ago we had a complaint from one of the locals, and somebody had stopped and done a dump on their front lawn underneath a tree. Yeah, it was an Aussie. How'd you guess? Look, just in regards to that run, look, I'll always say this: swim and bike for show, run for dough. If you want to have a good day, you've got to run well. Get out there. Obviously, you're going to have large crowds when you come off the bike. Just control the emotions a little bit. You can't train one way and expect to race a different way. You know, control the adrenaline. You know, think about running tall when you're feeling a little bit fatigued, and if you want to just try and relax your shoulders, just a little trick that I learned from some runners over the years, just pretend you're holding a little twig between your fingers just down here, and just relax your shoulders and teach you to try and hopefully relax and get through to the finish line. Right, let's now bring up, right, who are we bringing up now? We are bringing up Ken O'Rourke from Triathlon New Zealand, just to run through the technical side of it, the rules out on the course, and of course those punishments.
Right, thanks Mark, and welcome everybody. The big thing about these races, I represent TriNZ, and I lead the technical official team with my colleague Tony Sangster over here, who I'll have a chat to you shortly, is this race is run under TriNZ rules. Now the reason there's rules is because we want it to be fair for everybody. Everyone to have a great race, and we don't really want to see someone having an unfair advantage over someone else if it's not warranted. So that's what it's all about really, and that's why we're here, to make it really safe and fair. So just going through a few of the different parts of the race. The swim course, we'll have a race official out in a boat, just keeping an eye on you guys, working with the team, the swim directing team. And it's really about, hey, don't cut the corners on the boys, because if you're spotted doing that, that's grounds for being pulled out of the race or being penalised when you get back to transition. So that's the first thing. Have a safe swim, but don't try and take advantage and you know, be unreasonable and bash up someone else who's swimming next to you. All of that sort of stuff, we'll have someone out there just keeping an eye on that. Transition, it's all about, as they've said, the red bags. You understand how that's going to work. And when you come into transition, big thing is there, helmets on and buckled up before you unrack your bike. And there'll be our team in transition keeping an eye on that. If there are penalties that could apply in that situation, if we find that someone has taken off without doing up their helmet, they'll be stopped, told to fix it, put it on, and then allowed to keep going. Worst case scenario, there might be a 1-minute penalty that applies, depending on the situation. And the other thing in general, we're like you guys, we're all here for fun, we're all volunteers. Please don't abuse any official, because that's instant disqualification if you do that. And because we're all here trying to do the best by the race, and so that won't be tolerated, and you can get disqualified. And that's a waste of all the training you've done to get here in the first place. So once you've left, you've unwrapped your bike, you've got your helmet all sorted before you unwrapped. Mount line is on the road. For those who haven't seen that before, there's a line you must cross with your bike before you're allowed to get onto it. So again, get over the line completely. There'll be people there with red flags yelling at you saying, please come over the line, over the line. Get on your bike. Once you're over the line, then you're away, okay? When you're out on the course, no drafting. This is a draft illegal race, as we call it. So you can't take some unfair advantage by sucking on someone's back wheel. You've got to be 10 metres back from their back wheel to your front wheel at all times. There are exceptions, as Mark mentioned about going up hills. Okay, we look at that and realise that that's pretty hard to stay 10 metres back when you've got mixed abilities going up hills. But it's all about intent. So we'll look at it and we can say, hey, this is just circumstances. If we can see someone's intentionally trying to suck on someone's back wheel, well, okay, our team will be out there on some motorbikes, keeping an eye on you guys, safety, and if we see an intentional situation, there can be a penalty for drafting on the open road, not on tight corners. We go, hey, well, that's, give you time to get round a tight corner or at an aid station. But any other time, 10-metre rule applies. If you get caught for drafting, it's a 3-minute stand down on the side of the road, and that won't start until you're standing beside your bike. No point arguing the point, thrashing around, because unfortunately the time doesn't start until you're standing next to your bike. And then 3 minutes will apply, and once that goes, you're off. If you get caught twice for doing it, that's grounds for disqualification. So don't get caught twice. That's a simple thing, don't get caught at all. And then it's fair for everybody. But we're lenient with regard to, as I say, hills, tight corners, aid stations and stuff like that. When you get back off the course, there's the dismount line. For those who don't know about that, you'll come back to that same line and you get off before the line this time. So there are people yelling and you say, get off before the line, and you run back into transition. No riding bikes in transition. That's a definite no-no. You're running out onto the road, either over the line or coming back, getting off before the line, back into transition from there. So then it's obviously off onto the run, and you follow the course, you'll know that you're going to go back out of transition, and you're going to be over the bridge, on the road, and away around this fantastic run track. When you get out on the run, you'll see some people on mountain bikes with fluoro vests, and they're the guys, our team, keeping an eye on the run, making sure you're safe, making sure people aren't cutting corners, trying to get unfair advantage. As Dwayne said, if you've got someone out there thinking, oh, come and help, I'll help you, I'll run with you. Hey, they're pacing you, that's not allowed. It's a race for you. So that person can contribute to you being disqualified, and again, you don't want that to happen. So please don't encourage any friends to come and run with me for the last 10Ks, because sorry, that's not allowed. This race is about you. And as Dwayne also said about situations where there's the road and there's cones, you have to run inside the cone. Otherwise you're off the course. And if you go off the course, the official rule is you've got to stop and go back to where it was you came off the course and go back on and then carry on. If you don't do that, again, there's grounds for disqualification. And so it's a big safety issue, but hey, the course is the course, and we need people to stay on that, okay? And then it's fair for everyone, and it all works, and it's safe, which is exactly what we want to do. On the bike, Mel mentioned about keeping left. Yes, keep left all the time. If you cross the centre line and we see you, unfortunately, you'll be disqualified. That's instant, because that's a dangerous situation. And also, Stone Street, the last bit where you zigzag and go down Wanaka's steepest street. As Mel said, there's no road markings on some of those roads. Keep left. And again, if we happen to spot you, going over what was the centre of the road, that's the same as crossing the centre line. So please don't do that. It's a safety issue, but if you spot it, unfortunately, that would be a disqualification. A couple of other things. No nudity allowed in transition. Some people might say this is disappointing, but no, it's not. It's public indecency. There's change tents that Bill and his team have put up. Use those for getting changed. That's what they're for. So you, again, unfortunately, you could get disqualified for that. Mel's mentioned dumping rubbish. There's only 2 places by the aid stations, either start at the beginning of each one. And now, these days of modern technology, people like me love Spotify and music and stuff. Sorry, no headsets or headphones or earphones on the swim or the bike course are allowed. If we spot you, we'll stop you and say, sorry, we have to take that away. And I'm sure you don't want to stop. Please don't do that. We've had that in the past, and we've had to stop people on the side of the road and then find them later and give them to them. No sort of music or sound or anything, headsets, headphones on the swim or the bike. If you happen to need one on the run, and some people say they do, well, actually that's okay, but we've got to have it so that you've got to be able to hear instructions. So if you've got some big headphones on the run, well again, sorry, you won't be able to hear instructions, so we'll have to ask you to give us those. So if you do happen to need one, well, as long as officially you can hear instructions on the run, well, maybe that's not too bad. But we'd prefer that you don't, because, hey, it's a race. Just get on and enjoy the race. Enjoy this magnificent scenery that we have around us and get onto it. That just makes life simple. Right, question, who's in a team? Put your hand up, please. Okay, you guys have got your own transition area, right? And it's a biggie, because there's 2, maybe 3 people in a team all in one transition area together, and there's one bike. So the thing to think about is, do you all need to be there at once at the beginning? And the short answer is probably, well, maybe not. So therefore, hey, we'll just chill out, go and have a lie on the grass or whatever, because transition will get really busy. So that's the big thing. If you don't think, hey, I don't need to be here for the next half an hour, please move out of the area and just keep space, because we're going to have lots of people coming and going. Obviously, we're going to have swimmers coming in, and then bikers taking off, and bikers coming back, and runners and all that stuff. So if you don't really need to be there, please leave the area for a period, and then it's easier, because what we're doing this year is a bit different. We're not saying to you, and Bill requested this from us and his team, we're not saying you have to be held in a holding cage over here. We're allowing the changeover to happen at the bike rack, okay? So if that's you're waiting at the bike rack, you're a rider or you're a runner, watch your back, because there's people going to be coming from you behind, and we don't want bikes crashing into runners and runners getting in the way of bikes and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be a bit hard for us to control, but they requested we do it this way, so we said, righto, let's give this a go. So that's the thing. Watch your back. Now the big thing is handovers. The transponders like your baton. That's going to be your handover between athletes in the team. And so what we need then is the bike has to be racked. The helmet's got to be done up before the cyclist leaves. Okay, so the swimmer comes up and does what they need to do. The cyclist is going to be standing there. He can have his helmet on and done up. No unracking until you then put your tag on, and then you unrack and away you go. When the bike comes back, same thing, bike's got to be racked before you change the tag over. Because last year I spent hours going, rack your bike, rack your bike, rack your bike, to everyone, a lot of guys came in, right? So we don't want it. So just be mindful of that. Bike's racked, everything's as it was before you tag. And as I say, please be respectful of each other. Lots are coming and going in that team's area. Just watch your back and be respectful of others, okay? And we'll make it work. No one who's not an athlete is allowed in transition. Transition's closed while the race is on. Last couple of years ago, we looked over, here's someone come walking in with their dog for a visit. How they got in, okay, but they did. So please, it's only for athletes. So Bill and his team will be policing the entrance in there, so no one gets in without a wristband. But, tell your supporters and stuff, please, you have to stay outside the fence. Cheer us on outside the fence. Okay? So that's just about all from me, I think. Sorry. Special mention. Have we got any Australians here today? Any Aussies racing? Sorry, sandpaper's banned in Wanaka. Sorry, we couldn't resist it. It's been, pick on Aussie Day today because we outnumber you. So I think that's all. Yeah, that's true. That goes without saying. Goodness me. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Hey, we're here to work with you and have a great race. If you've got any queries, Tony's just got a couple of quick words to say to you about what happens in the worst case scenario that someone needs to protest. So Tony will just tell you about that now. Thanks for your time.
Hi guys, it's my first time here and great to see you all. Okay, I'm the guy who's very nice, but the guy you don't want to see at the end of the race. Okay, as head referee, it's my job to ensure that all decisions made by the technical team are correctly made and enforced correctly. So, going forward, Ken's talked quite a bit about the word DSQ, and I'll mention that in a few minutes, I'll cover that. But to be sure, if you're out on the course and you are, the bike course especially, and someone blows a whistle and waves something this colour at you, what's going to happen? Okay, you've now got a drafting penalty. So you have to stop and you have to serve that penalty. That will be communicated to me and I will know about it before you finish your race. If you do not stop when a referee blows a whistle, shows you a blue card or bit of paper, you will be disqualified. If you're on the bike course and someone comes along, blows a whistle and shows you a yellow card, you need to stop and serve the penalty. If you don't stop and serve the penalty, you'll be disqualified. Okay, I will know about it before you finish. So, the blue one is for drafting. Now, I measured up before I got on the stage, 10 metres. Everybody knows exactly how long 10 metres is. Is it me to the flag? Is it me to the speaker? The distance is from the end of that stage to the athlete in the orange singlet. Just raise your hand, please. Okay, from here, lift your hand, please, to there. That's 10. That's 10 metres. Okay, so we're clearing ahead the distance. It's not this length of the stage, 10 metres. So triathlon is based on personal aspiration and achievement of results through your own abilities and effort. So moving and drafting it goes contrary to that ethos of the sport. Okay, so we want to ensure that you are aware of it, and I'll have my team out there making sure that we are. Secondly, if you receive a penalty, if you do not serve it, or alternatively, the other penalty is if you see a red card. That red card means you're disqualified. That, as what Ken said, and it's what we state out, if you go across the centre line, you go outside the cones, you do not return to the course where you should have done, you are unsportsmanlike in your behaviour. If you receive that, you are entitled to continue your race. But when you come to the finish line, there will be a little sign up which says penalty board, and your number will be on it. If you feel you have been wrongfully accused, you need to notify me within 15 minutes of finishing that you intend to protest, and then you'll fill in the form within the next 15 minutes and come back and see me with $50 in your hand. Yeah. I will then make a ruling on your input into that situation. I will talk to my officials, and that they'll make, and then I'll come up with my ruling, and I'll give it back to you. If you do not agree with that ruling, you can then appeal my decision by going to a competition jury, and there'll be another form to fill in, and there'll be another $50 to pay, and then that will be decided there. That will resolve any situation. However, if you receive, where is it? I just lost it again. Where's one of these penalties? You cannot protest it. Drafting penalties in the rules are discretionary calls. So if one of my team says you were drafting, whether you think you were or not, that is the call I've made, and the best judgment and skill are based on the skills that they have. So be aware of that. So again, the ethos of what we're trying to do and using the rules is not to go, ugh. It's actually to say, hey guys, we're giving everybody the opportunity to have a fair race, run in a sportsmanlike approach, and that you achieve your results the best you can do tomorrow on your own effort without interference by anybody else or them receiving an advantage which you cannot receive yourself. Okay, if you have any queries about anything about the rules, come and see us. Thank you.
Yeah, the $50, most people disqualified last year are Australians. It's about 90 cents to the dollar. You mentioned sportsmanship. Right. Sportsmanship Australia, yep. Okay, right. Back on track. Just on that, I encourage people this afternoon. I mean, we don't wish bad things upon anybody, but if you do get a moment this afternoon, do what I always call a little bit of negative visualisation. Just go through a couple of worst case scenarios that might occur to you tomorrow. What happens if you get your goggles kicked off in the swim? What are you going to do? There's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but just go through the scenario of how that might play out for you. If you do come into transition, you've got a puncher. What are you going to do? How are you going to manage that? If you get picked up for drafting, how are you going to turn a negative situation into a positive? And just go through some of those scenarios in your head so you've got a plan. So if it does play out, then you can sort of, I guess, deal with it to your best of your ability. Right, another Australian joke.
No more Australian jokes. Sorry, one thing, when you check in your bike today, 3 o'clock onwards, bring your helmet with you, please, because we just want to have a look, see, make your helmets all good and safe, and we get you to do it up, show us your bike, it's got the Races End sticker on it, and we will be happy. So please bring your helmets with you today. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just bring Sally back up. We're almost done. Sally's just going to run through the aid stations, transition, race numbers, gear collection, and just the race manual. Sally.
Thanks, Mark. Before I forget, we will have a visually impaired athlete out on the course tomorrow, so if you can all take extra care and give her a bit of extra space. She's got 2 guides with her in the water, so they'll be wearing orange caps, and she's on a tandem bike out on the bike course. Alright, aid stations. Our nutrition sponsor this year is Pure. If you're not familiar with them, pop along. They're holding a seminar in here at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Out on the course, we've got Pure gels, and there's been a change to the bars. So we've got M's Power bars out on course now. 4 different flavours. I can't tell you what flavour is going to be at what aid station. But if any of you have got dietary requirements and want to know what ingredients are in the bars, we've got some samples up here for you to look at, not taste. There are 4 aid stations out on the bike course. They're approximately 20 kilometres apart, and we've got 7 out on the run course. At the end of the outlet track, there's also going to be a Red Bull tent set up for you as well. If you want more details on aid stations, check out your athlete handbook. There's no special needs station for the Challenge Wanaka event this year. And please, it's already been mentioned, but I'll mention it again. Please don't drop any rubbish or drink bottles outside of the immediate area of any of the aid stations. And if you're seen littering, this will result in an instant disqualification. There's no outside assistance out on the course tomorrow. We do have over 600 amazing volunteers out there helping you get from start to finish, and also for them to have an enjoyable day as well, so please be courteous to them. Your race numbers, if you haven't picked up your race pack sheet, make sure you do after the briefing. Race numbers need to be worn correctly and not altered, please. 1 on the rear for the cycle and 1 on the front for the run. Full information on where all the numbers need to go in your athlete race manual. And for those of you that picked up race packs yesterday, there's a wristband in there that you need to wear on your wrist to be able to get into transition and everywhere else like that. So make sure you attach that, please. Your gear collection tomorrow, transition will reopen from 1 o'clock, so don't come and ask to get your bikes and everything earlier than that. Transition area is only open for athletes, so your supporters can't come in and get your gear. It's up to you to come and pick up your gear, please. We've got an aquatic piece algae wash area out the back of the marquee for you to wash your wetsuits, please, before you leave transition tomorrow. Team swimmers, this will be set up for you in the morning. The prize giving is in the finish area at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, and then there's a rack party from 7 o'clock onwards tomorrow night. For those of you that are interested, there's the Challenge Championship race. So Challenge family have created this race, which will again be held in Slovakia in June. Full information regarding qualification spots here in Wanaka are in your athlete manual. We will do, for any of you that are unfamiliar or confused about transition, I'm going to head out there after this to answer all your questions and give you a bit of a tour if you need one. So head on out, otherwise the league directors will be around to answer your questions. Enjoy the race and we'll see you at the finish line tomorrow.
Yeah, so just if you do want to just go through a walk through transition, see how it all flows, that's going to happen shortly. We do wish everyone the best. Great to have Moss Burmester here, a former Olympic Games butterflyer and Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He starts at 7:05. If you're in that way, if you want to try and rock his world for 10 metres, feel free. Just remember, you've got to come down from that state of hypoxia. Okay, but ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. We look forward to bringing everybody home tomorrow. Enjoy the 13th edition.
Just to disturb you a minute, guys, someone has dropped their driver's licence. Aaron McGuinness, you've dropped your driver's licence. Aaron McGuinness, you'd like to come up and get that off us here? So the driver's licence for Aaron McGuinness is in my hand. We're going to leave it at the